Good morning. My name is Kara, and I am HL's wife. He's in Peru climbing Machu Picchu right now. So I am here, and my topic, the other day, I heard HL talking to somebody, I don't remember who, about how they choose what they're going to talk about for sermons. And he said, you always preach about what you're thinking about. And I never thought about that before. So I have been thinking a lot about this topic of peace. I've been thinking about this topic for years. A lot of people think about it, off and on. And it's a big topic, I know. But whenever H lets me talk once a year, because he knows how good I am, and he's afraid if you guys hear me all the time, you want me instead of him. So, but anyway, I want to always, it is once a year, which is fine with me. And I always want to think of something that I think people need to hear, and something that's very practical, and something that I feel like God has been talking to me about, and this time it's peace. And so we're going to talk about how, just some things I feel like God's been showing me personally, that we can have more peace in our lives, something that I think we all need. And I think, thinking about peace, if you think about way, way back in the past, people hope to live past the age of 30 or 40, and their main focus is on survival, food, not getting killed by their neighbors or whatever. Nowadays, we don't really have to worry about that stuff as much, at least all of us. But our focus, things that can take away our peace are not whether we're going to have enough food for tomorrow. I mean, I know some people, lots of people do deal with that, but most of us as Americans here in this movie theater probably don't. Our focus, things that take away our peace are things like progress. Because today, I read this book recently called Contentment. Excellent book. And he talked about progress and what is progress. And he said progress, it's a good thing, but it always says more, better, and faster. And we are right in the middle of that right now, especially with technology. And that progress doesn't bring a lot of peace. And it can, but overall, I would say better, more, faster is not a very peaceful, peace-bringing thing. Also, all of our stuff, we have lots of stuff in our life, more stuff. If you go to Goodwill, people are buying other people's old junk, it just gets passed on. People have so much stuff, and stuff doesn't bring peace. Again, in the past, you might have had a table, a one-room house, and a broom or something. You just didn't have as much stuff as what we have now. And when you have a lot of stuff, I think it's harder to have peace. And then we also have less contact with nature. You go out, you hear the birds sing and all that. I think that kind of stuff brings peace. And now if you're in a building all day, you're sitting in a cubicle, you're sitting in front of a computer, I wouldn't describe, you can have peace in those situations for sure, but it's not, if you have to walk 2 miles to your field every morning with the birds singing, you have more time to think, more time to be settled. I think it's easier to promote peace in that kind of environment. So that's one reason I think we all need peace in today's world. And also, personally, and I know everybody has their own thing going on, I have 4 kids, 3 of them are 4 and under. And that was my choice to have kids. I'm not saying it's a bad thing at all. But I have 4 kids, I'm a pastor's wife, and we just bought this really, really big house, which H talked about a few weeks ago, if you want to find out more about that. It's like 10,000 square feet, and I'm living with 3 other single guys. Which I know that sounds kind of weird, but we bought this house with a good friend, and then we're renting out a few rooms. And so we've moved all summer. It took forever to get the house closed, and that's kind of been my life recently. Thus, I need more peace. So that's what we're going to talk about. So first let's think about what is peace. So if you look it up, if you Google it, the basic definition is freedom from disturbance. I'm not going to talk about the whole war and peace thing. That's a whole other issue, and they are definitely related. But freedom from disturbance, quiet, and tranquility is if you read the rest of the definition. And if you look in the Bible, the biblical definition, the word that they use in the Old Testament, the Hebrew word is shalom. The word that they use in the New Testament, for the Greek word is eirene. So shalom, it means more than just freedom from disturbance. Shalom means to be complete, to be well, to be whole, to be sound. So it's not just nice and quiet, it's complete. And the word is used in the Bible, it can mean a rock that is well formed, that doesn't have any cracks, that doesn't have anything missing in it. It can be used for a stone wall that is complete, it's sound, and it's finished. And it's used also, again, like the war and peace thing, Like if you have kingdoms that are fighting, the verb form of it is you can say make shalom. And with another person, if like someone's cow comes and eats your corn crop, you have to make shalom with them. You have to make it right. You have to pay them back for what was missing, and then that way your relationship can be whole and complete again. So the word shalom is used for a lot of things. And the general overall meaning is everything in life can be crazy. There's a lot, life is complicated. There's a lot going on. But shalom means everything is in alignment. So like King David in the Bible, when he would greet his men sometimes, how is your shalom? He would say that. How is your peace? How is your life? Is everything in alignment? Is everything going okay with you? So the word, and it's also used as a greeting. You know, you might have seen movies before, like a Jewish greeting, they say shalom. The Arabic greeting, they say salam alaikum, and then they repeat alaikum salam. I used to teach English as a second language, and my Arabic students, when they would see me, they would say salam alaikum. And then I was supposed to say alaikum salam. It means peace back to you. Peace to you, peace also to you. So the kings of Israel in the Bible were supposed to keep a state of shalom. They were supposed to keep a state of well-being. And when kingdoms would fight each other, not only were they supposed to make shalom and make peace, they were supposed to also start helping each other. So not only cease fighting, but also work together to make things better. So it wasn't just freedom from disturbance, it was more than that. So the biblical definition of shalom is more than just quiet and peace. And they're related, and that's what we're gonna focus on is shalom. What is it? How to get it? So, I love this picture. You got to go after it, right? Catch the mouse, okay? Peace is something we need to think about and we need to want in our lives. I'm not saying, every day, peace, peace, peace. But I encourage you to study it, to study what the word means, to think about how you can, what can I do in my life to have more peace? What things take peace from me? What do I need to have more peace? And you have to be intentional about it, like this cat is with the mouse, and go after it. 1 Peter 3:11 says, seek peace and pursue it. Seek peace and pursue it. So it's something as human beings God created us to have, is wholeness, soundness, well-being, peace, freedom from disturbance. We're supposed to have that in our lives. And I'm going to start. My first piece of advice is, so this song is kind of like, it runs through my head a lot. I'm in a hurry to get things done. I rush and rush till life's no fun. All I really got to do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and don't know why. I feel like it's been the theme song of my life for years. And I'm not always rushed. I'm not saying that. But it's a great song, and it's just catchy. I don't know. So I think my first point is, what's the rush? I don't think that hurrying and being in a rush promotes peace, okay? I don't think hurrying is a characteristic of tranquility. Now, like this morning, Carl and Andrew set up all this, and then Coulter helped also, and they had to rush to get it done, okay? So they were probably running around. I'm not talking about that. That's fine. You're running to get the elevator before it closes, that kind of, I'm not saying hurrying is bad like that. But I'm saying, if I'm trying to get my 4 kids out the door and I'm rushing, then I got to go really, really fast in traffic, and I'm taking risks I shouldn't take, and I'm saying things I shouldn't say to the people who stop at a yellow light, Not saying I've ever done that, but anyway, rushing, I think, is something that we should try not to do in general, if possible. So why do we rush? Because we're late, because we're not organized, because we procrastinate. And there are good forms of rushing, as I said, but if you can stop the hurry in your life, I think you will have more peace. And you can do that, I think, by being more organized, just managing your time better. So with 4 kids, I always try, like if I have a doctor's appointment at 10 and it's 10 minutes away, I try to leave by 9:30 so I'm not, rushing and getting angry at my kids and saying things I shouldn't say. So leave early and just try not to be in a hurry all the time. And remember that people are more important than being late. If you are late, I should still treat my kids nicely. It's not an excuse to get mad at someone, to do something in traffic that you shouldn't do to somebody, because people are more important than that, okay? So I try to tell myself that, and I'm sure some of you could use that also. Then this next point is to enjoy the process. And this is a big thing I feel like that God's been speaking to me lately for a long time, really, is enjoying the process. So as I said, we moved into this big house. It was built in the 90s. lots of wallpaper, it's completely livable, but there's lots of little things that need to be done to make it the way we want it to be. And I told H when he first moved in, I said, let's just take it slow. Just take it slow, not try to spend every weekend we have working on this thing and fixing it up. I don't want my whole kid's childhood to be fixing up this house. But is just this whole thought of enjoying the process. And sometimes, the way my personality is, I like to get things done. If I have a productive day, I feel good. I like, get it done. I'll spend the whole day doing something if I let myself and just make my kids watch TV or something while I get the room painted. If I don't think about, okay, this probably isn't the best idea. Because I like to be productive, just who I am. I know a lot of people are like that. But my problem is I feel like I can't relax and I don't feel peaceful until it's finished. So sometimes I'm in this house and I think, oh, I love this house. I can't believe I get to live here. And other times I think there's so much work to do here. I'm never going to get it done. I wish I lived in a one-room house where everything was just finished. But God, that's why I think God's been telling me to enjoy the process. Enjoy picking out the paint at Lowe's with my husband. Enjoy, the kids getting to pack their clothes away. And all of life is like this. You're always going to have to mow the grass. You're always going to have to cook. You're always going to have to change diapers. The process of life, the day-to-day process of everything is never going to be done until you die. Okay? That's just the way life is. You have to work every day. You got to do it. So instead of, me just thinking someday when this house is done, then I can enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy the wallpaper right now. I'm going to enjoy the painting. I'm going to enjoy having my kids help me. And same thing with you guys. When you go to work every day and there's a big project that you have to get done, enjoy doing the project, the day-to-day stuff, and not just think, oh, I can breathe a big sigh of relief when this project is finally done, or when my kids are out of diapers, or when this happens, or when that happens, and enjoy the process of it, enjoying the getting it as much as the got it. And I think that's a big thing that you can do for peace. And in your whole life, the verse in the Bible, 2 Corinthians 3, says, from glory to glory. We are changed from glory to glory to glory to become more like God. And that's the way our whole lives are. We have failures, we have successes, lots of ups, lots of downs. And the changing process and the stretching process is all part of life, and it's a good thing. When we have hard times, when we have good times, we're growing and we're learning, and the process, and not just the finished product, is very important, and it's something we're supposed to enjoy. So how do you enjoy the process? I think this verse completely sums it up. I believe it's 1 Thessalonians 5:17. It's a good one to memorize, to meditate on, to think about, to be joyful always, to pray continually, and to give thanks in all circumstances. If you can do this every day, you're golden. It's very hard to do, but it's so simple. But I encourage you just to think about this, to be joyful always, to pray continually, to give thanks in all circumstances. Say it over and over, memorize it, get in your mind, and I really believe that it can give you more peace and affect your life. So, enjoy the process. Next one is peace with people. Ugh. And there's tons of stuff that could be said about this. If you don't have peace in your relationships, you're not going to have peace in your heart. You have to have peace with people. There's so much to say. You need to not get offended easily. You need to say you're sorry. This could be my whole topic easily. Just be nice to people is a peaceful way to be. And the Bible says if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, to live at peace with everyone. Not just the people you like, not the people you can't stand. You're supposed to have peace with them. That doesn't mean you go drink coffee with them every morning, but there shouldn't be something standing between you. There shouldn't be a hardness in your heart towards anyone. And if there is, that's up to you. That's on you. You can't change the people. You can't make them like you. But you need to have forgiveness in your heart and to release them, or you're never going to have peace. But that's not exactly what I want to focus on. Let's see if I can. This is Greg Brodsky. He's usually sitting here doing the slides. A lot of you guys know him. He's the guy we bought the house with. He's probably the only guy in the world we would ever consider doing this crazy thing with, buying a house with. But I'm getting to know Greg a lot better. When you live with somebody, you get to know him a lot better. He's a great guy. He's very dependable, trustworthy, steadfast, easygoing, which is great. And recently, HL said, we were after breakfast, he said, Greg, do you ever get mad at anybody? And Greg was quiet for a minute, and he said, not that I can think of. And that's just the way he is. He said, well, I get frustrated at my coworkers sometimes, but you'd never know it, is what he said. So he kind of internalizes things, he says. But Greg is a very peaceful guy. If you know him at all, he is just steady as you go, just super, super peaceful. And I think one reason that he is so peaceful is because he doesn't try to control people. And in relation to having peace with people, this is one thing I want to talk about for a minute. This is what a lot of us, myself included, would like people to be like. They're in line, they do what they should do. I want to say what song they're going to sing. I want to say how they march, how fast they march, and everything. That's to me, that's what I want. I like to control people. I mean, I do. I'm the oldest child. My sisters all say how bossy I am. I admit it. A lot of people always say, oh, Carrie, you're so easygoing. I'm thinking, you don't know me. I'm not that easy. I am, in some ways. And this whole thing isn't about me. It's just, an example. So the marching band, a lot of us would like people to look like this, myself included. Keep them in line, do what you want. But in reality, people are more like this, a concert. Everybody doing their own thing, singing their own song, whatever, wild and crazy. This is what people are like. And they're not like the marching band. So what do we do about this? This is a big peace sealer for yourself and the people that you're trying to change or to tell what to do. And the reality is, you can only control yourself. This is something I have to tell myself a lot. I can only control me. I cannot change anyone. It is not my job to change anyone. It is not your job to change anyone. It's not our job to correct people, to tell them why they're wrong. And, biblically, there are situations where you should go to someone if they're doing something they shouldn't. But, most of the time when we do it, it's not for the right reasons, and it's probably not in love. So you can only control yourself. Controlling people does not promote peace. It just doesn't. Controlling people does not promote peace. You got to let them go. For yourself, if I'm always trying to get HL to do a certain thing, or my kids, I want them to do this, and there is, I do need to discipline them and teach them and train them, but I can't control them all the time. My son right now, he's 10, and he's going through this he's just hyper all the time and always wanting to hurt. He doesn't mean to hurt his brothers and sister, but he does a lot because he's so rambunctious and he has so much energy, and that's not wrong. The way he's acting is not wrong. It annoys me a lot, but I have to love him like he is, and I can't make him be this quiet little child who does everything I want. That's not who he is, and it's not my job to control him like that. Now, if he hurts somebody, I have to do something about that, same thing with, lots of people in our lives. We want them to be different than what they are, but we have to learn to appreciate who they are and to love them. That's all we can do. You're never going to change them by trying to change them. It's never going to work. All you can do is love them, show them unconditional love, help them. If they want your advice, you can give it to them, but otherwise, just love the people, and that's the only way you're ever going to have peace with them, is to let them go and to love them at the same time. So try not to be controlling. Remember, people are like a concert. They're not like a marching band. And let's see, next is to take the time. I read a book recently by a Catholic mother called A Mother's Order. Excellent book. I recommend it if you're a mom, even if you're not. It was a good book. And she starts the book with a story. She went to her husband. I don't remember how many kids she had, like 3. She homeschools her kids. And she slammed her hand on the table and she said, I quit. I can't do this anymore. I can't take it. I can't do this. Life is too hard. The kids drive me crazy. I want out, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think she really meant it, but she was just telling her husband, I'm overwhelmed. Something's got to change. And so she thought about the idea of, like in nunneries, they have what's called an order. I'm not really familiar with Catholicism, but this book was just amazing. And in the order of the nunnery, they each one has a different focus. Like this group of nuns wants to help this group of people, and they want to focus on this type of prayer. So their order might be They get up and pray at this time. Then for 3 hours, they go help these people. And then they pray for another 2 hours or whatever. They have quiet for an hour. They eat. So they have an order to their day, and they have their priorities matching up with what their order is, with what their schedule is. And that sounds pretty simple. That sounds like a good idea. But it's not something a lot of us actually do. It sounds good, but doing it is a whole nother thing. So this girl in the book, she did it, and it took like a whole year to figure out exactly what worked with her family. And she developed these routines in her life and in her kids' life that made things go much more smoothly. And it's been like 4 years, and that's when she wrote the book, and everything was going much better. So my point is that we need to try to run our lives and not let our lives run us. And to have peace, to be whole, to be sound, you need to take control of your life. And think about, what are my priorities? When I die someday, I'm going to look back, I accomplished this. What do I want to get out of life, and how can I get it? Do I want to be good at cross-stitching? Do I want, to love people more? What do I need? There's a vast array of things that it could be. And do it. Take the time, carve out the time, take your life and make it something, instead of just someday you're going to be 60 years old and think, what have I done? What did I do? Instead, you can look back and think, I wanted to accomplish these things, and I did it. And you have to be intentional. Intentionality, is that the right way to say it? Is so important, and it's so powerful. And so I think you need to make times in your life, especially for people, because that's more important than anything else, and also for things that promote peace. What brings you peace? Listening to classical music, getting up early and bird watching, whatever in your life that brings you peace, you need to focus on those things and do them every day if you can. Make that a part of your order in your life. So I'm not saying you have to say like 8 o'clock I do this, 9:30 I do the laundry, 10 o'clock I go to work, whatever. But just some routines, just even 2 or 3 things that you do daily or weekly that are intentional, that make your life what you want it to be. So take the time, be purposeful, and grab the bull by the horns, so to speak. Okay, 2 things left that I want to talk about. One of them, this is one of my favorite hymns, What a Friend We Have in Jesus. I grew up in a small Methodist church. I went back and forth between that and a different church. In the Methodist church, we always sang hymns. I played the piano. I love the hymns. And this one says, what a friend we have in Jesus, all our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Another good thing to have going through your mind is to carry everything to God in prayer. So I think it helps us to remember what a friend we have in Jesus. If you want peace, the best thing you can do, the number one thing you can do is to have a friend, to realize that Jesus is your friend. In John chapter 15, he says, I have called you my friends. Everything the Father's made known to me, I have made known to you. So we can be friends of God, friends of Jesus. And that means you can tell him anything. And also, I think in the book of 1 Peter, it said, there's not 2 Peter. Yeah, 1 Peter, okay, sorry. I knew that. 1 Peter 5:7, I believe, says, cast all your cares upon him. So you're supposed to give your cares to God. You're not supposed to be walking around feeling these heavy weights on you all the time, feeling burdens, feeling stress, feeling, just anxiety. You're not intended to live that way. You're supposed to be whole and sound and complete and to have peace in your heart. And one big way you can do that is to give God your cares. Well, how do you do that? It's not like you can just take it out of your mind and but in a way you can. So you just tell God how you feel. You just say, God, I am so worried about this. I am so afraid of this happening, blah, blah, blah. Just tell him and say, I need you to help me. Carry this for me and give me peace. That's a huge step to learn how to do that. And God will help. He will help you. It might not be like instantly you feel great, but he'll show you what to do in your life. He'll just guide you. He'll give you a peace that you don't even know where it comes from. And that's because Jesus is your friend. And so that's a very, very important thing, I think, to remember. The best friend you ever have is Jesus, and you can go to him with absolutely anything. And he said, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled, and do not be afraid. So you're not supposed to allow your heart to be troubled. You're not supposed to be afraid. You're not supposed to live in fear. Those are things that people who love Jesus are not supposed to have in their lives. And he doesn't want anyone to have that. He wants you to come to him, and he says he gives you his peace. And Jesus had peace when he was here. He got angry with people. He was sad, but he still had peace. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to be sad sometimes. We're not supposed to not feel emotions. That's not what peace means. It doesn't mean everything in life is going smoothly. It means no matter what happens, I have peace. And the reason for that, in the Old Testament, Isaiah prophesied thousands of years before Jesus was born that a prince of shalom would come, and he would make everything right. And that's what Jesus is. He is the Prince of Shalom. He's called the Prince of Peace, and he brings peace to everything. And I think, let's find this other slide here. He said, let the peace of Christ rule in your heart. And C.S. Lewis says, God cannot give us a happiness and peace apart from himself, because it is not there. There is no such thing. And this verse, this is maybe my favorite verse in the Bible. It says, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So C.S. Lewis, great guy, he said that you can't have peace apart from God. And I think the reason for this is because my last point is peace no matter what. No matter what's going on in your life, regardless. So even on a rainy day, when it's, everything's not going your way, a lot of times we think that we can only have peace when things are smooth, when my house is all fixed up, when all my relationships are right and in order. And that is the goal. That's what we want. That's what you should work towards. But even towards that, even going through that and even in the process, you can have peace. And I believe, as a Christian, the only way you can truly have peace is if you have God in your life, like C.S. Lewis said, because the only way you can know that everything's going to be okay, even when it seems like nothing is okay, is because of Jesus, because of this verse that says he has overcome the world. And so even when you don't understand things, even when life is so hard, even when you're just having a bad day, you had a flat tire, you were late for work, your boss yelled at you, you can have peace in the middle of all those things because of Jesus, because you know that in the end, everything's going to be okay. So when Isaiah prophesied that the Prince of Shalom would come one day and make everything right, he's going to fix everything that's broken, that's our hope. And if you don't have that hope, if you don't know that everything is going to be okay, that even though this terrible thing happened, like what Molly talked about a few weeks ago when she lost her little boy, I can't imagine. I shouldn't have even talked about it because it's hard not to cry. But she came to a point where she knew it was going to be okay. God told her that. Jesus showed her, even though I lost my son, I'm going to be okay. And he's okay because of Jesus. And if it wasn't for Jesus, what hope do you have? That's what you got to cling to. And there's a verse in the Bible that says, lead me to the rock that is higher than I. I love that verse also. And that just means King David was saying, man, I'm having a really hard time here, God. Take me up higher so I can see what's really going on here. And so many things happen in life that we don't really understand. We can't see clearly. The Bible says we see things that are distorted. We can't see the big picture, what's really happening. And so we think this shouldn't have happened. This isn't just. This isn't what's supposed to happen. And lots of things happen that I don't believe are God's will, but he's going to make them right because Jesus overcame the world. He fixed it. He died so everything would be at peace someday. So someday he's going to come back, I believe, or we go to heaven first, whatever. Everything's going to be peaceful. Everything's going to be right. But until that time, we are supposed to walk in peace. Can you imagine if everybody that says they follow Jesus, they were peaceful? That would be a huge thing. If they didn't have stress, they were just walked around, they were calm no matter what was happening, they showed peace towards other people, it would be a huge witness to people who don't believe in God.